Subtitles: Hi everyone, welcome to today's detective chase. This woke Dumbo up, and they soon traced the painting's origin. However, upon entering, they encountered a more absurd scene. A lady reunited lay dried up on the drawing table. Her limbs were bound by chains, and there was an empty bottle of white herb cave on the floor. Based on years of experience, they speculated that the lady might have drunk what a friend handed her out of thirst. While Dongbo and the veteran officer were speculating on her death, another partner had already discovered her identity. She had severe autism since childhood due to losing her parents. At that time, the government hired a professor to establish a system to aid children without parents, and Dongbo's group went to the nursing home where he was. By this time, the professor was already quite senile and suffering from severe Alzheimer's, having no recollection of Dongbo's questions. The sole choice now is a memory scan on him. Dongbo saw not only her childhood look, but a painting he was creating in the professor's memories. Subtitle: This painting was exactly like the one in the woman's room. At the parking lot, Dongbo noticed the car door keyhole and realized the girl saw her father's murder through the arc in the painting. Subsequently, Dongbo hurriedly made his way straight to the chief of police. Requested the chief of police to access surveillance near the victim's home and found, to his surprise, a reporter's van had arrived hours earlier. The woman had been dead for days, yet they were unaware. How did the TV station learn of it? Dongbo suspected a link to the station. The next day, the two went to the news station to inquire, but the reporters on site were tight-lipped. After the chief of police's threats, they finally revealed the information was passed down from higher-ups. However, when they reached the news station's president's office, he refused to divulge information, insisting that the source needed to remain confidential. Ultimately, the two left empty-handed. Nevertheless, Dongbo's partner found some clues while reviewing unresolved cases from 20 years ago. The person who reported the case back then was none other than the current president of the news station. They decided to track down the photographer from 20 years ago for answers, but the photographer said nothing of the past and refused Dongbo's memory scan. Chief Superintendent had to present their search warrant and search the photographer's home. The findings were astonishing. They found an altar piled with bones, shivering, thinking they'd found victims' remains. However, medical exams revealed the bones were all animal. Reluctantly, they had to release the photographer, who then bizarrely told Dongbo, "Someone's going to meet their maker tonight." He added that this person would die because of Dongbo, as he would be someone whose memories Dongbo read. He urged Dongbo to prevent the tragedy. Sure enough, the police received a murder report that night. When they arrived at the scene, they found a camera blatantly placed. The video turned out to be the killer's own recording of the crime. This audacious provocation left all the officers stunned. Apart from the camera, no other clues were found. Now, their only suspect was the one just released. However, when they reviewed the tracking video of the suspect after his release, they found he had been home the whole time. To obtain evidence, they dispatched a follower. At an intersection, they spotted the suspect appear close to a bowing child. So Dongbo immediately donned his super detective outfit and rushed over to the kindergarten, while the kids played around him. He put his hand on a child's head and started reading memories. Dongbo found the man often used the kid's phone. They then intentionally stopped the child's mother's car with their police vehicle, and Dongbo, in his super detective persona, asked his partner to take a picture with the child's phone. While taking the photo, the partner secretly injected a monitoring Trojan into the phone. Once arriving back home, the man took the child's phone as usual and downloaded a chat app specifically for hackers. However, when he entered the password to log in, he hesitated, as if he knew the phone had been monitored. Eventually, he hit log out without logging in. Police aimed to see his contacts via the phone. However, they underestimated his vigilance. Then, they noticed the second suspect, the TV station's president, suddenly visited him. Dongbo and the chief of police rushed over as well. The chief of police wanted to get some leads from the president, but ended up being scolded instead. When Dongbo heard the president, a grown man, insult a woman, he nearly lost it. Subtitles: The photographer, upon witnessing Dongbo touch the president with his hand, instantly became extremely terrified. Who else will die tonight? The photographer's words seemed to hint that the president would be the next victim, but Dongbo clearly didn't buy. Dongbo thought the photographer's odd behavior was probably just a show. They then visited the house of a young boy next door. From the boy's father, they learned that the photographer had a secret hideout. So, they headed to this mysterious space that looked like an abandoned warehouse. Stepping inside revealed a long cave, dozens of meters deep, filled with all kinds of clothes and mats. Pushing aside a wooden plank overhead, the chief of police discovered that this place connected to the photographer's home garden. It turned out the photographer had been sneaking out to commit crimes through the secret passage. Though they found the secret, it was too late. A man then donned a helmet and rode to the next victim's home. Dongbo guessed that the photographer was out hosting a guest. But with hundreds recently touched, he couldn't tell who the photographer would target. Just as the two were still in the car using the process of elimination to select the most likely victim, the identity of the second victim was revealed. The victim was the news station president touched by Dongbo that day, and his last words, "I'm lying to you," sent chills down spines. From the president's expression, it seemed that the person before him was not someone he recognized. After killing him, the murderer jumped straight out of a second-floor window. Had just fallen for a second when police arrived, guns aimed. The rookie cop froze as he reached for handcuffs.